Hi, good morning. Hey, Rick. I'll just be happy to answer any questions that I can. I'm very excited to be back here in Indianapolis. I sure have missed the Combine.
Jon, when did you decide, can't believe it was not an option for you coaching, when you decided to return to coaching? When did you say, no, I'm not going to the Bucs?
When I was fired.
Not recently? Not
No, no.
No discussions at all?
Nope.
Gruden offense playbook. I get pages and pages from the playbook in a PDF. Are you going to go in another direction offensively given that?
A PDF?
You're probably the only coach where I can actually download what you've done in the past, and it's very rare. So I was wondering if you knew that and what your...
Well, a lot of coaches have been on my staff, have gone different places. Players got into broadcasting. Some of that stuff leaks out there. So we're changing the presentation of our offense. Really excited about the diverse staff that we've hired. Terminology will be different. Formations will be called differently. And we're going to run some different kinds of plays, but we can't be too specific today because we really aren't sure who we have on our roster.
How integral was this past month to figure out what you want to build as an offense and then defensively just get ready from a scheme standpoint so that when you get here, you know what kind of players you're trying to fit into what sort of system?
Well, it's been important. Number one, spent a lot of time hiring a coaching staff. We did not rush that process. And then we evaluated our roster, our current roster. Went through practice film, game footage, talked to the trainers, obviously Reggie McKenzie and his staff. And then you got to get ready for free agency. He's a program, and just talked to him briefly. We're not allowed to have contact with players. I have bumped into a couple of the players that have been in and out of the facility for various reasons, but he's our first-round draft choice. Everybody liked Conley at Ohio State. He had an excellent training camp. When I studied the training camp film, he was inside playing the nickel position. When the season started, he was out at right corner. He's a young player. We're counting on him and Obi Melifonwu to play, and we need him to. But we're really excited to start working with him.
Jon, I know Marshawn is getting, how you doing?
Hey, hi.
I know Marshawn is getting up there in age, but yet he's still almost at 900 rushing yards. When you look at this upcoming season, how prominently do you feel like you project that he would still participate in your offense? You know, some people think he's washed up, but looking at almost half of his games, there were like a lot of games where he got 14 carries or less. So I'm just kind of trying to see where you see his effectiveness based off of, you know, how he was utilized.
Well, our program starts April 9th. Looking at the film and a game that I broadcast on Christmas night, there's no question he's still a beast. That's hard to bring down. And one of the reasons I'm excited to be with the Raiders is to join forces with Lynch. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, we got to take a look at the entire roster. And but I'm counting on him. I'm counting on him being a big part of our football team.
Coach, I'm sure that Jay had brain many times. Have you found the thing kind of reversed a little bit this year?
Yeah. Well, I got Paul Gunther from the Bengals, so got a lot of respect for my brother, obviously, and a lot of young coaches that are doing great. Sean McVay, Coach of the Year in the NFL, was on my staff. Kyle Shanahan's doing great. It was really cool seeing a lot of those guys walking around, and if they can find time for me, if they can fit me in while I'm in Indianapolis, hopefully they can answer some of my questions.
Why did you go after Gunther?
Well, it goes back from my days visiting Jay in Cincinnati, getting to know that coaching staff. Zimmer was the defensive coordinator. Gunther was the linebacker coach. I thought that was an excellent staff that Marvin Lewis had. And every time I had the Bengals in Monday Night Football, I was always impressed with the way he coached on the field, taking advantage of the time in pre-practice, post-practice, and what he got done with Vontaze Burfict, Vinny Ray. Very impressive. We're excited to have him.
How similar or different has the job been from what it used to be?
Well, it's a lot different because you're not allowed to have any interaction with the players. And, you know, I've always complained about that since the new CBA came in place. A lot of players would come to see me in Tampa to get their football fix. So you're not allowed to have contact with these guys. But what's most discouraging to me is we've got to make some decisions on our roster, on salaries, on players and their futures, and you can't even meet them. You're not allowed to. I don't know these guys. I've never coached them. Never met half of them. So that's been very, very difficult for me, and I've been emotional about it at times.
Shanahan, do you look forward to having a matchup against the 49ers and Shanahan?
Yeah, I look forward to matchups with everybody, and got a lot of respect for Kyle and the way that he's gone about his career. Obviously, he's been fortunate to have a dad like he has, and to have some experiences as a young man that have really fast-tracked him to the success he's had. But certainly, yes.
You guys are going to be getting player tracking. You're going to get this overload of information with 32 teams that you can use any way you want. Just your thoughts on it, and do you think it's going to be good for you guys?
Are you talking about the analytics, the GPS, all the modern technology? Man, I'm trying to throw the game back to 1998. Really, as a broadcaster, I went around and observed every team, asked a lot of questions, took a look at the facilities, how they're doing business. There's a stack of analytical data or data, however you want to say that word, that people don't even know how to read it. It's one thing to have the data or data. It's another thing to know how to read the damn thing. So I'm not going to rely on GPSs and all the modern technology. I will certainly have some people that are professional that can help me from that regard, but I still think doing things the old-fashioned way is a good way, and we're going to try to lean the needle that way a little bit.
Hey, John, what did you make of Bruce Irvin's season last year, and where
Who's?
Bruce Irvin, and where does he fit into the plans?
I like Bruce Irvin. I know Bruce Irvin. I like him because he plays. If you look at play time, the amount of percentage of snaps, he's out there all the time. He played through a back problem early in the season, and I really think he's playing a difficult position because he's really an edge player. And when you ask him to play over the tight end or over the offensive tackle at his size, you can get beat up. But he's still a very good pass rusher. I think he plays with good effort. We just need to get him some help so he can do the things that he does the best more often.
John, where do you see Amari Cooper on his growth curve? Obviously, the first couple of years, a lot more productive. He was injured last year, but do you see a digression with him, or is it injury related, or where do you see him on the growth
We think
curve?
Cooper's going to be a great player. We think Amari's not only a great prospect, a great player, he's a great person. He had a lot of injuries last year, and that impacted him, but he'll be the focal point of our pass offense. I hope he's listening here today. I look forward to joining up with Amari Cooper. He's got tremendous quickness. I think he's smart. He's versatile. He's a gamer. He likes the bright lights, and he'll be the headliner in our offense.
Broadcaster and learning about them. What did you learn about the Patriots?
Oh, man, I'm envious of the Patriots. I really am. The Patriot way, finding players that are versatile, finding players that can adapt on a weekly basis to win a game. They don't care how they beat you either. They're not afraid to use the 60-minute clock to beat you in the final seconds, and they're not afraid to blow you out either. But they can morph themselves into a two-back team. They can come out with 5 receivers and play no-back formations. It's just a pleasure to watch them adapt every year to the new rules and to the new men on their roster and on their coaching staff. And it all starts with Belichick and Tom Brady, certainly, but the people behind the scenes there deserve a lot of credit.